Hello everyone, the Vibe Kage here. And, well, you're reading it right. What if Deku left UA? But, wait, how does that work, you may ask? Well, everything in the canon story still kinda went down, Deku being diagnosed quirkless and all that good shit. However, this is where our timeline is different. In a separate timeline, you know, we'll say it's the GT timeline just for shits and giggles. Android 21 comes in. You know, she puts a her Android Potara earring esque thing on 18, fuses with her, and she goes under the alias of Lazarus Jiro. You know, just for simplicity. She builds her own machine to travel through time and everything. And, considering how, Cell was supposed to be the perfect android, this one is thinking, let's upgrade it just slightly different. Something besides, just machines, you could say. And so, in her little test tubes, she has DNA, Cell's DNA, or the amalgamation of the Z Fighters / Frieza and the Saiyans, and Piccolo by extension with Namekian. She has test tubes of like all this and this super perfect Cell DNA that she has, which she would collect from various battles throughout the Z timeline. Like when Cell came out of hell with Frieza. Well, when they were in hell with Frieza to fight Goku. She would take moments like that to, just extract DNA from him. And she also would extract DNA from, the Z fighters in their current things just for an extra bonus to make Cell a little bit more stronger, boost the Saiyan in him. And, she goes off into her own world, into another world, not her own world, my bad. And this world is the My Hero Academia verse. And, she does a whole, planetary scan to see if there's anyone compatible with Cell's DNA. And lo and behold, it was Deku. Deku, this is when he is 4, so just got diagnosed quirkless, and she makes it seem where, Izuku would be put to a, special test to see if he's, like, useful for her. And in case you're wondering if she's kind of evil, yes, no, kind of not really. It's a strange mix of the neutral Android 21, like, not good, not evil, kind of like Android 16 Blank Slate with, not 18, but 21, no, 16, yeah, 16's Blank Slate thing, where you can't really, like, tell. But then you add, like, the Android 18 personality, so a little bit aggressive, but yeah, she makes quick friends with Inko right away, setting up a thing. And, Inko, this is when she started to go through her depression state, but, this fusion android, which I'm still just going to call Android 21 just to make it easier for us, she says, well, if, she starts saying, before superpowers were a thing, people just learned how to fight. Inko's just like, well, yeah, but, then she says, well, if you want, she goes into, like, how she herself is deemed quirkless, but, her parents just make her take a bunch of fighting styles, and she's pretty capable of defending herself, so if, Inko's wants, then Izuku could just train under her, and, just get some basic, like, self-defense things. If he does want to at least pursue his hero career and dream, which, she's thinking, that's good. That's good. That's really good. That eventually I can, make him take the Cell DNA. But, first she's gonna build up his body and skills. And, yeah. And in case you're wondering, how will Inko, like, feel about this when Deku starts showing off powers? Well, that never happens, since she gave Inko a heart virus, similar to the one that, Goku had, but modified to where it was only affecting a quirked human. But, Inko, who never really left, never got a chance to infect anyone, so when she died, it died with her. And, yeah, before Inko died, she clearly signs away custody of Izuku to her friend, which, yes and no, they actually were friends. You know, she isn't evil. She's just, for the sake of her experiments, knowledge, and science, she will just use anyone. Think of it like how L is. You know, he himself calls himself a monster because when it all comes down to it, he'll use people however he sees fit to get his goals done. This is kind of how she is still. You know, just the fact that, Izuku wants to be a hero just makes it where he's going to be fighting a lot so she can get a lot of data. And it just happens to work for her. Now, this is where we do the time skip of, 10 years. It's that, scene where, the teacher's like, oh, here's some career aptitude tests, just in case you guys don't know what you want to do yet. Ye psych, motherfuckers, I know y'all want to be heroes. All that good noise. Well, the key difference is, when Midoriya, they look at his thing, this is what surprises them. Midoriya had put UA and then Shiketsu, as like a backup, The teacher starts saying, well, I don't think you're getting to Shiketsu, and Shiketsu being not even as good as, UA, having much tougher and higher standards, not looking good for you. Of course, Izuku had spent his time, getting all the hand-to-hand basic fighting styles of all the Z fighters throughout time. So his fighting style is the amalgamation of, the Turtle Hermits, the Crane Hermits, Vegeta's brutal fighting style, Frieza's more brawler style, I guess you could say, since he wasn't really trained, he was just strong. Piccolo's, evil fist style, I guess you could say, since, he was the Demon Clan. But there's more to this than what I'm just explaining. This is also, Yamcha's in there. So the Wolf Fang Fist Deku can do. He can do, basic stuff. He's not the most adept at ki right now. He can access a few ki blasts, yes, but he's not supposed to use this. This is a training that, him and his guardian have been doing in secret. They just need to know that, Deku's fucking OP as shit. And yes, Deku, through this training, was able to awaken his ki. She wanted this to happen so Deku, when he starts to fuse with Cell, it won't be as, painful for him. It would be more easier for his body to adjust and stabilize to such a high level of ki and power, since his body's natural ki is already growing. Think of it like she's trying to make a human do the Namekian fusion with Cell. And that's kind of how this whole premise is going off of. Now, everything goes in canon with, the UA entrance exam, all that stuff. But this is where things change. The Sludge Villain incident never happens because Deku could easily one-shot it with ki. And All Might didn't see this. He just thought, oh, the man was able to defeat him. Which, Deku never fully explained how. He showed that he was, a bit stronger than most people, more durable, more flexible. He could jump really, really fucking high. Not fly yet, but, he was getting. Not to mention, Deku's intelligence is pretty much being nurtured by a fused double supercomputer. So, don't worry too much, And Deku does have, Master Roshi's fighting techniques too. I don't think if I said that, because I did say Turtle School, but I think some of y'all just thinking Krillin, Yamcha, and Goku, right? Nah, Master Roshi's in there, so, he has that. He will get Lightning Shock Surprise, but he has, Master Roshi's Drunken Fist, his Pressure Points attacks, which if y'all never seen Dragon Ball, then don't worry about it, because if y'all Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super only, then you probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But if y'all know what I mean, then, yeah, the hypnosis Deku can do, all because Master Roshi could do. Shit like that. That's what I mean when Deku has pretty much been trained up his whole life. He doesn't even get an autograph from All Might. He just walks away. Dagobah Beach was clean by Izuku still, because that's still going to be a thing. And All Might, he still like has not picked his successor, but UA entrance exams, that's where he's gonna decide. Everything goes as normal with like the exams and everything, but Deku scoring, acing it 100% everything. Supercomputer intellect without being a supercomputer. Pretty much is how Deku is at right now. He's doing the exams and everything goes as well. Then Robux come. Deku, he's just stretching. And in case you're wondering, he wouldn't trip to meet Uraraka. That'd be very disappointing for him, to his master, to explain, I had to be saved by this weak human girl who, her quirk is just to make things float, but if she overuses it, she vomits. This would get him, kinda, I guess the right way you could say is punished or disciplined by, Android 21. And, shit. The exam starts, and Deku is the fastest one there. Faster than Ida. And Ida's just like, damn it, if I use my reciprocal burst, I'll have to wait like a few minutes before, I can have my engine legs again. So he's kind of annoyed that, Deku's outspeeding him. A 3-pointer shows up, and Deku's just like, Wolfang Fist! Destroying it instantly. Everyone's thinking, okay, so Enhancer. Like, he's got a strength boosting quirk. Right? Everyone's thinking that so much. Then this man just leaping from building to building in a sense that looks like how if ninjas would be running in cities, jumping from building to building despite being like a 20-foot gap of street in between each building. Deku's just like bouncing back and forth. And, using his ki to low-key cheat just a little bit to, strengthen his distances rather than just pure physical strength. And he uses his ki to kind of help him stick his landing so he won't like fall or doesn't have to fly. Pretty much like that. Or hit it with such impact that, his feet actually destroy an indent so he can stay in there. Think of it like he's using his ki kind of like how ninjas use their chakra to walk on walls, and you pretty much summarize how I mean when Deku's using his ki just a little bit. Now, Deku was able to rack up damn near 500 points by himself. Mostly because Deku in this one, rather than save people, he's a, I guess you can say, kill stealer, point snatcher. There would be people who, Deku, he sees them struggling, Deku would instantly just destroy the robot and leave, before they can even say, hey, that was mine. Deku doesn't say anything. He's just destroying. Eventually, at first, the Hero Society, the Hero Association was looking at Deku and thinking, oh, he's saving people. And then, they're seeing how his face is so bored and expressionless. Almost as if this is meaningless or tedious to him. Like, this isn't really a challenge. Of course, they finally, bring out the 0-pointer and Uraraka would still get crushed like in canon. But this is where, a huge change happens. When the Zero robot was crushing and coming down, wrecking the city, and rubble starts falling naturally. This is a key difference. The 0-pointer in this destroys the buildings and chucks rubble at, the students. And this is how, Uraraka was about, keyword is about to be crushed. Before a quick flash of yellow light just shoots out of Izuku's fingertips, it shatters the giant rubble piece right away. But then, the robot starts slowing down, malfunctioning. There's explosions coming off of its body. No one really knows what's going on, as, Izuku just smirks and he walks away. In case you're wondering what happened, Deku fired a double ki bullet, one to destroy the rubble, and then one to, hit the core of the robot that it's going to start to destroy itself without him needing to actually blow it the fuck up. I love this song. Anyway, he gets accepted and all that still goes as normal. Now, All Might, before Izuku was able to leave, stops him, and, he asks him because his sheets still say that he is quirkless. And Deku saying he is. He's just been training since he was 4 years old, and that, he's gonna leave now. Straight up just walking past All Might, not really giving him the time of day. All Might sticks out his hand before, he's saying he wants Izuku to be his successor, and, tells him how all this good jazz. Deku just nods, saying, sure, I guess. I don't really care, Deku's just like, he never really saw the point in what the difference between a quirked person, like someone having a quirk and someone not having a quirk, since he's reached a level of strength that quirk people don't have, and all he did was just, train. So if quirk people are so reliant on their powers, Deku's just like, he's glad, because, that's his advantage. He doesn't have to rely on his powers. He just built his fucking body. Of course, this is All Might, and he's kind of happy, strong successor, and Deku was able to get an instant, 40% of One For All down. And All Might was shooketh because this man damn near got 50% right off the bat. He's like, in his mind, he's just like, no. I'm still the most special because only I and I alone had One For All at 100%. Shit like that. But, Deku wasn't an idiot to break his body. He knew, like, once the power starts flowing through him, like, how much he could regulate. And, everything goes, like, in canon, Deku throwing his hardest, but, all his training, plus One For All, sends the ball at 8,007 meters. That's a reference if y'all don't know. Anyway, Deku, everything kind of goes the same, with the whole heroes versus villains, everything, Bakugou fighting him, being mad at Deku for having such power, but rather than Deku telling him it was lent power, Deku straight up, while they're still fighting during the hero versus villains fight, and I'm not really changing it because, they'll still win, but Izuku just, he's not smiling. He rarely ever smiles, which, All Might starts to notice, and he's just thinking, maybe just with time he'll start smiling more. That's just it. Not really. Deku doesn't have a reason to smile. His mom died, and even though he does have someone who believes in his dream, it was under more like a teacher-student bond rather than a familiar bond. And yeah, Deku has like almost no emotional support in anything. He's cold and calculating, very malicious and kind of sadistic from time to time in fights, but that's just because he knows he's stronger, so yeah. But no, rather than, Izuku saying this is a power given to him, Deku just beats the shit out of Bakugou, and, he tells him Bakugou got so complacent with just the strength of his quirk that he never pushed anything else. You were just fine with the power you had. And that is why, he stomps on Bakugou's chest this time. Which, he's kind of already done. There's no real point for this, but it's just something that needs to be addressed. He stomps on his chest, crashing the floor beneath them even more. Just making another crater, pretty much. As, Bakugou spits up blood. Deku just looks at him, and he tells him he's trained for 10 years, doing unspeakable and grueling, just painful forms of training. The amount of times he's wanted to give up was just more than he could count. It was definitely more times than the times Bakugou had hit him or tried to bully him. So, the training became something that just, the reason why he didn't really care. He's telling Bakugou that you could try and, train your hardest as much as you want for, the rest of your life, but Izuku just tells him the gap in their power is just too strong. And, proceeds to, just punch Bakugou in the face and knock him out. Which, All Might was telling Izuku that he went overboard with that, because he was done. Then this is when Izuku, he pulls a line that kind of fucked up, but, he's just like, he looked like he was a threat, so I put him down. That's it. That was Deku's logic and reasoning. Which, in the mind of him, it's fine, and that's how he was raised by his teacher, Android 21. Man, not good. Shit like that is how things have gone. And this is where, Deku, he would beat, the team, wins it. Everyone in Class 1A is both terrified and astounded by this man. You have people, asking him, what's his quirk? Deku would just say, he's just trained. There is no quirk. Which, when All Might starts looking back at the whole video, he realized that Deku, not once did he ever use his quirk. He never used One for All. There was no traces of anything. It was just Deku being physically overpowering than, Bakugou in a way that All Might didn't think was possible unless you had a quirk. So, he's trying to doubt Izuku. He's thinking, no, there's no way I could have given my quirk to someone who's a spy? Maybe he works for, he starts to thinking, if All For One's alive, then he could work for him, but if it's not All For One, then he could work with somebody else, and, they're trying to take the All Might down, they're trying to take the school down, everything like that is going through All Might's head, rather than just, straight up ask Izuku, hey, what's your deal with being so brutal? Deku would just say, this is how he was taught, that's it. It'd be case closed. All Might would tell him, well, too brutal to be a hero, cut it back a bit, we'll show you the way. GG's, done. It would have been easy, but no. All Might is a fucking idiot, and I will always make him an idiot. I don't think I will ever not make All Might a shitty person in my what ifs, honestly. Or very rarely where I will keep him as, the symbol of a good human being as peace. But I think now it's more easier and more fun for me when I make him kind of stupid or kind of a dick. It does kind of get easier to make the stories writing this way when you have, other antagonists besides the main antagonists. But yeah. Anyway, we'll do a time skip where USJ attack happens. And, Deku, he still have yet to use One for All. He just uses his own skills. The way he's seeing it is he's just holding it until, it's mastered for him. Once he can bring out 100%, that's when he'll start, using it. Until then, he can feel when he'll power up the One for All. His body, and once his body starts to hurt, he'll stop and realize, okay, that's my limit. I need to train more. That's it. But he won't use One for All to get his body used to it. Because to him, kind of dumb, but oh well. He hasn't even told his guardian about it because All Might said, hushity hush hush. But yeah, this is all changing at the USJ. Because, Deku would have still been voted the class rep, but as soon as he was told he's the class rep, he's just like, he would look at Momo and just like, do you want the job? Momo was just like, well, yeah. I go like, cool, you can have it. Just walks down and just walks to his seat. He'll deny the leadership role. Which, everyone's just like, so cool. Kind of a dick, though. Misguided Ghosts. I love Paramore. I'm not even going to front with y'all. That's one of my favorite bands of all time. It's just like Hayley Williams. Slight story break because I found it funny. So, my friend who was trying to hide being bi most of her school life let one line slip, and that's how I knew she was bi. Before, her friends would start to, she'd be comfortable telling them. And it was kind of funny to me because all I said is, because we were listening to Paramore together, and I said, You know what's funny? Haley Williams and Hallmark both start with HW, and I'm like 99% sure you know which HW I'd rather be doing. You know, she starts laughing. She says, same. And I'm like, huh? Same. Same's not. No. Wait. That's how you liked. And then it occurred to me, well, it's possible. And then I never said anything because, you know, there was no point to. She's still my friend regardless of her attractions. Which, chances she does not know that I'm a YouTuber, but only because we don't really talk as often as we could because we're both busy lives. Shout out to the friend Sandra Budara, one of my favorite human beings in the entire world. I can state this as much as I want. Anyway, fuck. It's the USJ, and I'm sorry. But, you know, the bus goes, and everyone still kind of asks Izuku about being quirkless, and, you know, Uraka has him have been flirting and texting back, but so has him and Momo, him and Jiro, him and Mina, all the girls in 1A and 1B in general, because they're attracted to him. But Deku is just like, he'll get to know them all, and then he'll make his personal choice, which they all agreed. But, yeah, that's how that goes. USJ, excuse me, ends with, you know, the Nomu being destroyed by Izuku. Because Izuku was easily able to tell, you know, the weak point is the brain, so a combo rush of the Wolfang Fist, and then a solid just Dragon Fist to the Nomu's skull was enough to kill it. You know, brain is just gone. Which he one-shotted right away once the villains appeared. Deku just jumped off of this straight down, skipping all the staircases, going straight towards the Nomu. You know, Shigaraki and all the villains weren't really prepared or expecting this, so when Izuku just punches in his fist into the Nomu, sending it back, and then rushes towards it, yelling Wolfang Fist, comboing the shit out of it, you know, the Nomu is yelling out in pain. You see its muscles, and you're hearing, like, the muscles indent and hearing the bones break, and then it's healing. Deku's getting annoyed by this, because, you know, he realizes that his hits don't feel normal. Yes, he's going all out, but they don't feel normal to him. I'm gonna blow my nose just ever so quickly. Sorry. Anyway, Deku's noticing that, you know, this thing is healing, and his hits seem to be sinking in. Deku realizing that, you know, this thing is made to fight. Which, you know, Deku just thinks to himself, and he was trained to kill. As, you know, he was able to get behind the Nomu and just drive his fist straight through its brain, going through its jaw. Like, his hand went through the Nomu's skull. You know, Shigaraki, the villains, Kurogiri, even Class 1A, who's still at the stairwell, have just seen Izuku impale this thing's brain in with just his bare hand. You know, the Nomu doesn't even scream, it just falls as Izuku rips his hand out of its brain. And, you know, he cracks his neck and looking at Shigaraki and all the villains. And, you know, he starts smiling as, you know, he's saying, you know, I'm technically not a hero right now. So, their whole rules and regulations, they don't apply to me right now. As Kurogiri gets it. Getting the fuck out. Let's go, Tomura. You know, all the other villains are like, you just gonna leave us? Yeah. Y'all are fodder. Time for fodder to fall. And, you know, Deku proceeds to obliviate every single fucking person at the USJ that was, you know, a criminal. Hitting both the Meteor Rush, the Wolfang Fist combo, Tien's volleyball assault, everything. You know, Piccolo's combos, Vegeta's combos, everything. He's going all out. He is just utterly demolishing every single person in that USJ thing, and, you know, he just walks away, up the stairs, as, you know, Class 1 is just staring at him, and Aizawa just shooketh, because that didn't even take him longer than 4 minutes to wipe out the invasion. Anticlimactic for some of y'all, I know, but That's only because our story doesn't start or end here or there. This is just a small stepping stone. Now, it would be after this moment where, you know, they're kind of annoyed. They examine the Nomu's body. They get information. They start to realize, All For One's involved in this. This is when, they do their research on Izuku, the League of Villains. And they were able to find this one girl who is obsessed with blood. And a slight altercation I'm making is All For One can also modify the quirk on, quirk editing, if you will. And what he did to Higumi Toge's quirk is just change the condition. Rather than just blood, any form of DNA causes her to transform. And it can be absorbed through any method. Just DNA, absorption and replication, in a sense, that lets her morph into people. This can be hair, sweat, spit, skin cells, anything. Milky release no jutsu. What? Oh, shit. I got, my back to pop. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God, that felt good, actually. Damn. Sorry. Anyway. So she kind of stalks Izuku and follows him, for a good week. And she's very good at hiding her presence. So Deku, who can't do full ki blasts, isn't that aware that, someone's following him and hiding their ki or their presence. But, she's able to eventually get some DNA samples of, some spit, some hair, shit like that. And she turns to Izuku. And, using Izuku's face, they were able to break into, UA again, take files, and leave. Now, how they broke into UA, rather than breaking in, it's just straight portal, walk in, portal, walk out. And it's kind of weird. Of course they're thinking, no, there's no way. Aizawa is one of the few people who's just like, hey, he might be, a monster incarnate, but nah, not him. It wasn't like this. Which, they do call in Izuku, they show him the video. All Might is just on, I can't believe you would betray UA. Deku just looks at him, sighs, and he's just like, you know what? He just plucks out a hair, holds it towards All Might. All Might's kind of confused, as then Deku just blows the hair at him. And, it falls towards the trash. And, Deku just saying, there's your one for all. As, he's leaving. He's going to turn and leave. All Might tries to grab Izuku's, shoulder before Izuku just fucking judo flips him and slams him 3 feet through the ground. Principal's office, you'd say, is, main top story. Is, when he threw him down 3, flights, 3 floors, stairs down, going straight down. Still, no sparks of electricity, which All Might is confused. He's just like, how is he that strong? I don't see him using one for all. Which, Deku just looks at Nezu, and he's saying, that time frame is after school, right? Nezu's just nodding, and Deku just, he goes to his backpack, and he throws one of the hero notebooks he has, because he'll still do that, he likes to write down notes, he's learning. And, this one is, class of 1A, 1B, and it's literally just pronounced UA. Nezu just opens it and sees the detailed quirks of all teachers, all students, even the ones that are not in the support, hero course, the ones that are in support course and general studies and banking and economics. All of their quirks were listed, all of their abilities, birthdays, and their weaknesses. Deku just looks at Nezu, as he's saying, and the files were stolen from which one? Just class 1A? Nezu's just like, uh-huh. Deku's just like, I have the whole school. He just leaves that notebook with Nezu as he's just selling him. You know what? Use this as a guide on how to be a better school. As he just rips off the fucking shirt, the uniform, bare-chesting everything as he walks out. Of course, Class 1A is seeing Izuku, walk shirtless down the hall. Momo asks, Izuku, class has started. Why aren't you? Deku's just like, oh, I'm leaving UA. Everyone's kind of confused, like, what? Bakugo's kind of happy. Todoroki's kind of happy too, because, they were getting outshined by Izuku, the quirkless nobody. Which, yeah, kind of sucks, but All Might still ate the hair, so he's fine. But only so he can, pluck out a new hair and give it to Bakugo. Bakugo got done dirtied, and he sees Bakugo, and he realizes he's just a diamond in the rough, but not like Izuku. Izuku's something else. So yeah, in case you're wondering, will Bakugo get ki or any of that noise? Nah. Deku was a quirkless user, and quirks are the only thing that's copied into One for All. So, All Might in his head, he's just thinking, huh, all that strength is now added to the next user, which it's not. It really wasn't, since Deku never used One for All to, use its actual physical output. Rather just charge the percentage up through his body, it only got maybe like 5% stronger than it was with All Might. And Deku never exceeded a 50% in output, so that's why I'm saying a 5% increase. And, Deku doesn't feel like a power loss or any of this, because, he goes home, he talks to his, guardian, Android 21, hears Deku explain everything about All Might and the quirks and all this good shit. Which, she asks Izuku, is he, bummed out about losing his power? And Deku's just like, sort of. It wasn't his power. It was made by other people who passed it on to who they liked, and then, it's not like it was tailored made for him. Which, she laughs and she's saying, funny choice of words, Izuku. Which he kind of looks at her. She's saying she's heard how, that Nomu thing was there. She confiscated some of its DNA, and she shows Izuku 10 vials, and she's saying these are, for Izuku. Pretty much as, if Izuku wants, this next couple of days, they can put these serums through him and give him something more accustomed to his current power set, which, she's confused on what he means until this is when, she just drops the ball on who she is and what Cell was. But, over time, she admits that, just Deku being around her made her just curious. And if Deku wants to be a hero, so be it. If he wants to be a villain, so be it. She doesn't care, actually. She kind of just wants to support her adoptive son. Which, she admits to Izuku, she doesn't know when it happened, but at some point in time, she just stopped seeing Izuku as, Inko's child and just her own. Which, this kind of throws back Izuku. He didn't, think his guardian liked him like that. He just thought he was more like, she's there to teach him, and once he's 18, he's done with her, and she probably won't really do much for him, because she's never shown love, but that's Android 18. They don't do this. They don't show their emotions. But, she's, telling Izuku she's actually really happy that Izuku's wanting to be something good. The power that Cell possesses could destroy the world, and if, Izuku wants to, that could be his. He chuckles, and he's just saying, nah, there's no point in destroying it. He just would rather, control it, rule over it, but not like Iron Fists, like an ironclad rule, or the most harshest of dictators. No, Deku, after, he beats all the strongest villains and evil doers, he will then, set his sights out on making the next generation even stronger. And she just laughs, and because she thinks that's entertaining, that's interesting. Trying to get people even stronger than what Izuku's going to be. It's like he's a Saiyan without being a Saiyan. So she's just happy. And Deku goes under the procedure. We'll do a, time skip about a week. And, Aizawa has told UA that they are doing something special with their sports festival. That this year they are doing a school v school, where class of 1A and 1B will be pitted against, Shiketsu High. And, for some reason when Bakugou hears Shiketsu High, he just thought of Deku, and then he got pissed. And, he yells he can't wait to crush them because, All Might's already picked him as the successor, and Bakugou has roughly 15% down, and he thinks he's the shit, like how most people would. And he's just thinking, not thinking, but remembers that Deku won his backup with Shiketsu, so if he went to Shiketsu, then he gets to crush the nerd. He gets to prove he's the one on top. And nigga gonna get clapped. And I use my one N-word of the day. I know I was given the pass by some friends, but I will limit myself to just one use per day. And if it be in the video, it'd be in the video. But that just means I can't use that word again. Anyway, everyone's training for, the upcoming events. And, this is where things get kind of complicated and convoluted, where Shiketsu just saying they will have 2 students go against all of UA. And, UA's Nezu's just like, well, what about your other students? Shiketsu's just like, we're sending our strongest to take down the whole school of UA. That's kind of how they think this is going to go down. Pretty much, they send their 2 strongest in, and they'll win. All the events, everything. Now, this is going to be, combat-based and team-based and all that good shit. So Nezu's just like, if you want your team to have a disadvantage early on, then so be it. But we can't promise them if they're not in the finals, then they're not in the finals. Principal of Shiketsu is just smiling and tells Nezu they have a real hitter, if you will. They have legit the most perfect student that they could have ever asked for. And, they know that this student in particular, Class 1A, ain't got shit on him. Nezu's kind of confused because he said Class 1A specifically rather than UA, but he's just gonna ignore it for right now. Now, of course, sports festival time, and in case you're wondering what happened with Deku and the girls at UA, he left his phone and got a new one. He just cut them out real easily. So, the girls were kind of upset that Deku kind of ghosted them like this, but, he's not going to their school anymore, so it's whatever, I guess. But lo and behold, they're surprised when, it's the sports festival. Midnight is saying before we hear words from our representatives, the class representative of UA, which would have been Momo, because she's on stage, they introduce the representative for Shiketsu High, which, they're looking at the hallway and the door when, falling from the, just descending from the clouds with energy, with just an insane amount of golden aura falling, like Super Saiyan aura, if you will, just coming off of Izuku as he just, lands right next to Midnight and Momo, and he just asks, who are they waiting for? No one could sense Izuku, and, they were kind of surprised, because, despite him descending down so calmly and cautiously, it was as if no one was able to see him. They couldn't feel him. They couldn't, he was there, but not there, to the point where it was as if he was exceeding their perception of him, Izuku, he just smiles and nods to Momo, which, Class 1A and Class 1B women, their eyes are just widened. Bakugou and Todoroki are smiling because, they get a chance to take down Izuku. But Izuku's just saying, though this competition is supposed to be friendly between UA and Shiketsu High, Deku just looks at all of UA and just saying that on this day, Izuku and Izuku alone will prove that Shiketsu is the much more improved school than UA. Kind of surprising, like, the audience, but they're cheering. Oh, they're cheering. They love this. They love how Izuku is confident about him for sure destroying UA, because they're thinking, there's no fucking way. He might be able to take out some, but not all. Well, yeah, that kind of happens. So, this is where, Momo says she accepts the challenge from Izuku, but then this is, when Midnight's saying, no, Izuku is fighting all the men of 1A UA, and Deku's partner is fighting the women, which they're all kind of confused. Deku partner? Of course, the girls are thinking, this is his girlfriend then, right? Is that what Midnight is saying? And in case you're wondering if it's Kami, I thought about it, and I really, really did want to at first, honestly. But then I started to think, yeah, she's not strong enough to do hand-to-hand combat. Her quirk is useful, but, like, hand-to-hand combat-wise, maybe not the best. And we've only seen Toga dressed as Kami fight, so it's not the same as Kami fighting. And we both know this, because, yeah. No. I'm going to pause this, actually. Melissa's shield. Now, at first I was, like, on the fence on this, like, wait, why? And then it occurred to me, there's something I can do very special, and that is if Melissa's shield did a similar modification to what, the androids would have done. So, we're going with a similar footnote that, Melissa, and, All Might, once he sees Melissa, his eyes widen because, all he knew is that Melissa left Island a year ago, and her father's heard nothing. And, he sees her with Deku. And, All Might's kind of pissed, because he's just like, that fiend, he's corrupted young Melissa. No! But, nah. It was just, Android 21 helping Melissa reach a level of power she's always wanted, but would never admit, because that would mean she'd have to accept the fact that her weakness is what causes her to be, miserable. And that weakness was given to her not from her own choosing, but just because life. Which she was rejecting at first, but, accepts and now has her own power. Now, Melissa isn't going to be like an android, like 18, like infinite ki energy and all that good shit. Well, nah. Instead, Melissa's more of a, I guess you could say, the human amalgamation of the Z Fighters in one person. Kind of like how Pan is, but not. It's just the best way I can explain it. She has the same moveset as Izuku do with, like, the Crane School, the Turtle Hermit School, and Yamcha's weird techniques, Krillin's techniques, Master Roshi's. All that is just her. She doesn't have, the Gallic Gun and all the other Saiyan and Namekian and, Frost Demons. None of their DNA is inside of her. She's just a genetically modified human being who, at this point, was just classifies as someone with super strength, which she's okay with. High super strength, durability, and not infinite stamina, but just, like, boosted stamina. She could pretty much fight for, like, 3 hours straight and not be tired. She can go up to 6 hours, and then most of her energy has been expelled. Depending, because, yeah, how she paces herself. She can't do ki bullets or any of that shit. She's human, but Deku is perfect Cell, or perfect Deku. But, it first starts with, the race around the ring, which once Todoroki freezes everything, this is when both her and Deku just explode from, the arena. And Deku, using just himself, he creates an energy barrier protecting, the front of him. And she's just running right beside him. Well, kind of right behind his left side. Kind of, sort of. Covering his side. Pretty much. That's the best way I can explain it. Deku just rushes forward, knocking every single, literally, and I mean, he bulldozed the shit out of people, pushing them out of the way. His energy barrier was digging into the ground, so as he moved forward, the earth itself was being split around. And this all happened the moment Todoroki just slammed his foot into the ice. Deku went so fast that, he exceeded Shoto's ice and just bursted through the doors with, Melissa just following behind him before, anyone actually got into the doorway. Which, they're so fucking, lost on what the fuck just happened. Everyone's kind of lost. And Alma's just like, that shouldn't be possible. He then looks to see what Deku is, categorized in Shiketsu High. And, they tell him that that's classified information, and that since All Might isn't a teacher of theirs, nor is he, related to Izuku, that he just can go fuck off. The principal of Shiketsu High has a shit-eating grin because, he's just like, yeah, Deku is our pride and joy. And in case you're wondering, what does, the principal think about Deku? It's pretty much known that Deku just told him, he trained his whole body, and he starts showing what he could do. And then, how some movements helped him expel energy. So, he's still deemed quirkless, but powered. Which is how Shiketsu High has him. And that's all, they really care about, honestly. He has power, but it's not a quirk. So Eraserhead can't stop him, which Izuku was quick to say that, if he were to go against someone who could erase quirks like Eraserhead, then nothing happens to Deku. He would still be at his strength, still be able to, he starts flying in front of them, showing off his abilities. As Shiketsu, the principal, was just and Yue kind of thought you betrayed them. Deku explains how all of his habits of hero writing and, Shiketsu, they weren't supposed to know, but, eventually everyone was going to know. Which, the rumor of Yue having someone break into their things, stealing files, was already leaked. And that, it was someone disguised as a student that Yue kind of pushed away. Which, soon enough, everyone starts to realize, when they do digging about Izuku, that Deku was the one that Yue pushed away. Which, they're thinking Yue's really, really fucking dumb for doing that, because this man is a fucking tank. The 0 pointers, back to the perspective of Izuku and Melissa, they all show up as, Deku just raises 2 fingers up and does a gigantic storm, exploding the outside arena, leaving a huge cavern of scorch marks. Literally, from the entrance covering the whole side, there's now a moat of just burnt terrain, 20 feet deep crater. And, Deku, he just sticks out his hand to Melissa. She grabs his hand. She's blushing ever so slightly as, Deku starts floating and he brings her along. Everyone's seeing that Deku is just flying casually, just taking his partner. The explosion was enough to scare, UA students from going forward until some time has passed before they realize we have a race. We can't just be doing this. So a lot of people, when they're stopping and getting pushed in, they're falling into the craters. But, in improved, not improved, improved obstacle that Deku just gave them. So a lot of people are kind of pissed that, this Shiketsu High student, which, this does change the whole, hating Class 1A to, alright, it doesn't matter if it's 1A or 1B. We just got to make sure that the only 2 students from the other school lose. But, nah. Here comes, the ropes, and Deku is just saying, fuck all this. He picks up Melissa Brighterstop, and he pulls her in close. Melissa, she's blushing, like, because, her and Deku, they've been physically intimate, but not, like, emotionally. What I mean is, during the 2 in their training moments, the heat of the battle and raging hormones would cause them to, cheeks to be clapped. That's pretty much what I mean. So, Melissa's just like, any chance, like, she's being held by Izuku, it's dream for her. And, of course, when UA girls are seeing this, and they're more pissed off. Like, they really, really want to try and beat the shit out of, Melissa. But, Deku just flies through everything. Even when the bombs come, he's floating up in the air. There's like a small little shining light appears from his finger, and it's glowing like this pinkish red before he just points it down, shoots it. Yeah, it's a death beam, my guy. And, blows up the whole minefield, creating another giant trench. This time being 40 feet deep into the ground. And it's the whole, area that's just been wiped out as Deku just lands casually on the other side. He sits down with Melissa on his lap, still holding her. She's just like, Izuku, what are you... Deku's just like, I just want to see their reactions. Deku then begins to kiss Melissa on the cheek and around her neck, and she's just like, we're in public. And, Deku's just like, and? We're not gonna give them a show, just some light teasing. Deku then says, after all, these girls wanted him at one point, and he's not at the school for them to take. He's at Shiketsu High with, Melissa. Which, she just reluctantly accepts as, she begins to kiss Izuku on the cheek and on his neck, sucking on his neck. Stuff like that. Cuddling, snuggling next, rubbing her body as much as possible on Deku that is allowed to be shown on TV. As, people are starting to get, the thing, okay, they really are a couple, and, they're having their moment. Of course, eventually, and I do mean fucking eventually, 5 minutes later, Deku, he sees, class 1A and 1B just barely trudging along. Deku's just smiling as he's thinking, that'd be fun. His eyes can clearly see them, and so can Melissa's. So Momo, having binoculars made as, she sees that Deku's still sitting on the edge, but this time, Melissa's on his lap. Which, Momo, she grips the binocular so hard that, it cracks. She's just like, huh. The other girls, they're asking her, wait, what happened? She just makes the singular, I guess it's not a binocular now because the word bi is in it, so it's like a telescope, if you will, or a kaleidoscope, or whatever you want to say, a telescope, kaleidoscope, whatever. Just, instead of a binocular, it's just one thing where you just zoom in. So, they're just seeing it, and, the girls who are seeing it, they just see Melissa being all up on Deku. And, Melissa, she looks over to them, and, she winks at them, so they know that she sees them seeing her with Deku. As, she then proceeds to seductively lick from the base of his collarbone all the way his neck to his cheek, and then, tongue kiss. This, just for the sake of, hilarity, Uraraka's just like, throw me. Momo, make a cannon, shoot me now. This bitch dies. Momo's just gladly, just shit like that. It's just all of the girls are teaming up to figure out how to cross this barrier, not the barrier, but this giant trench. Deku, he just casually just starts floating upwards, holding, Melissa still. As, he just casually just goes towards the exit. Like, literally, just as Uraraka was about to be in there, they already have, like, first place and second place, Izuku and Melissa. And, Midnight, she just whispers to Izuku if, like, is he, like, excluding every female from UA? Or is it just, like, the students? Which, Deku, he's just like, oh. Huh. He'll tell her, like, they'll have to talk later. Not Melissa. Midnight, she's just nodding, like, eagerly and excited, like, maybe she does have a chance. Which, if y'all want, I can make him clap Midnight under this only, you know what? Fuck it. He will clap Midnight, actually. I thought of a hilarious scene to have. Just for hilarity's sakes. But I won't add that until part 2. Which... damn. Just damn. Anyway. Deku, he gets first place. And, Bakugou, Todoroki, they're in 4th and 5th. Third place, which might surprise all of y'all, was none other than Shinzo. And I bet you're wondering, how the fuck did Shinzo do it? Well, he has brainwashing. Figure it out. Come on. Of course he's going to be able to trick everyone. So yeah, Shinzo pretty much got third place. Bakugou and Todoroki are pissed off because they're like, where the fuck did he even come from? But Izuku paid close mind attention to, Shinzo and how his quirk worked. But, he was kind of disappointed. Why? Well, he was hoping, he left his notebook of UA and all the students' quirks, their weaknesses, and all the things that they need to work on. He saw that Shinzo didn't do the thing, work on his body to make up for his quirk not being physically gifted. Oh well. The cavalry battle was gonna happen at first. And so, Deku's just like, there's no need for that, Both him and Melissa have passed. The Shiketsu representatives have passed on. And rather than, a team battle where it's just going to be narrowing down the fights, just have it where they run a gauntlet. Melissa's kind of confused on this. What do you mean? Deku's just like, well, maybe not with you, but yeah. He explains that he legit just wants to fight all the guys from support course, hero course, anything. All of them. He can do one-on-one, like literally, just have them line up. He'll go non-stop fighting every last single one of them. Midnight's just like, so you can go all night then? You can go a long time, I'm hearing. Nah. Midnight, she's just like, think, Nemuri, think. Just behave yourself. But no, yeah. Deku kind of makes easy work of everyone in support course and the other schools. Class 1B falls to him relatively easy. Even Monoma thought, like, I just need to touch him and copy his quirk. Which, once he did, like, Deku actually did let him touch him. And Monoma's eyes widen when he realizes nothing is happening. Deku opens his palm to reveal, like, a blue ki blast. As Deku's just like, yeah, I'm quirkless. As, he blasts fucking Monoma into the fucking wall. No, correction. Through the goddamn wall. So, yes. That was over. Class 1A has to be up next. And, Mineta, he's just like, I quit. Not worth it. He's just like, I know my battles. That is a suicide mission. Like, he gets it. Like, he might be shitting himself, like, shooting himself in the foot with his hero career right now. But, like, he can at least know that he's smart enough not to go up against a task that's just impossible. Which, if hero agencies don't at least, like, honor him for that, then maybe he isn't supposed to be a hero. Like, Mineta's just like, nah. If creatures like Izuku are what I have to fight against, then maybe this hero shit is just not for me. Maybe I should just own a porn store or something. I don't know, but dear God, I don't want to die to him. Like, I'm fine still trying to be a hero, but, like, if I have to fight something like him, nah, just find me at my little tea shop. The Golden Dragon. No. The Jasmine Dragon. That's what Iroh named him. Yeah, the Jasmine Dragon. There we go. But, you know, this is, like, when other Class 1A, they're just like, yeah, no, I'm dropping out. Aoyama, Ojiro, Seto, and yeah, just them. They all dropped out because, you know they don't stand a chance against Izuku. They're being big brain right now. Which, yes, I'm still having Ojiro drop out pretty much, but this is on his own volition. He just knows that, like, his strength doesn't compare to Izuku's right now. And yeah. Of course, you know, first is Hida, who he instantly bursts out Recipro Burst, trying to do a spin kick to Deku, but when Deku just literally lifts up one finger to block Ida's kick, everyone hears a snapping noise, like the sound of bones breaking. But what surprised the shit out of them is when Ida falls to the ground holding his shin, as, like, you could tell, like, there's a, like, pretty bad blood swelling towards the area of damage. You know, his shin bone just got completely just snapped, like, clean through. And all Izuku did was just lift up one finger to block the kick. And, you know, at this point, you know, the other classes who aren't in 1A realized that Izuku was holding back and that they are, you know, let off easy. As, you know, Ida, he's just like, I won't give up. You know, despite his leg being broken, Deku just sticks out his hand. A giant, like, yellow ki blast forms as, you know, he shoots Ida, just point blank, blasting him up in the air as he falls outside of bounds, unconscious. You know, he just says, next. You know, this is where things change. Kaminari, Kirishima, they're starting to back away when Todoroki and Bakugou are the ones, like, telling them to move. And, you know, Deku's just like, actually, all for. You know, he even puts one arm behind his back as he's saying, here, I'll even make it a handicap for you guys. Midnight, the entire time, seeing Deku be, you know, such a fucking beast, is moist. Yes, she is moist. I'm gonna say it again just because I know some people don't like it. And if it doesn't bother you, oh well, this was not meant for you. This was not meant to bother you. But I know people who hate the word moist. But no, Midnight was moist. Seeing Deku be just an unstoppable freak of monster. You know, Android 21, she's smiling, of course, because she's just like, he's even better than what I was hoping for. You know, granted, she knows that he's not really using Cell's techniques that much, and just pretty much everything he learned from her, which, this is what makes her smile so brightly. You know, she thought maybe she'd be kind of annoyed that Deku's not using Cell's powers, but he's using what he learned from her, which this holds more of a emotional hold for her. Like, it's an emotional weight that she feels, like she does feel like a proud mother, a proud teacher. You know, she feels insanely happy seeing Izuku dominate. But in the different sense of how Midnight feels when she wants Deku to dominate. Fuck. I can't. Fucking hell. I'm gonna do it after Melissa's fight, I guess. So, Izuku, he takes on Todoroki, Kirishima, Bakugou, and Kaminari. Kaminari is just like, he doesn't know how to do things, which, Todoroki's telling him, he has ice. You have lightning. Todoroki can at least melt the ice to make it water. They should be able to, shock him at least. Kirishima, he goes in to be like hand-to-hand combat, which, he rushes in his most toughest form, just under unbreakable. He's close to it. I'm not gonna lie. Kirishima did take Aizawa, after reading all the training, not the training, but the notes that Deku did. He made sure that, Class 1A, or those who were willing to, would take the advice that Izuku gave them. Not a lot, but Kirishima was one of them, and so were the females, but that's just because anything to do with Izuku, they thought, it's their way in, or their way back in, correction. But that never really happened. Fuck. I'm tired as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna end this soon now. Anyway, Kirishima, he's throwing all his heaviest hits towards Izuku, and Izuku, not once is he actually guarding. Like, he's just letting each hit him, taking all of them, not budging, not wincing. And Kirishima's hands, they're starting to, crack and chip. He even feels like what he's punching, in a sense, like what he's trying to do is destroy a mountain with just pebbles. The durability and density of Deku's body compared to, his hardening is just outclassed. Deku is just too strong for him. But, he doesn't think it's over yet. So he continues until, Izuku with just one finger just flicks him in the head, which sends him flying through the arena. Which, rather than, the wall, he just sends him towards the exit, and he slid through there. Kirishima's just like, damn it! And he's holding his head. He realizes one of two things. One, there was a lot of force behind it, but it didn't really, hurt him. It felt like an actual, finger flick to his head as if he was normal. But this extra distance that he traveled, he doesn't get it. He's confused. Now, in case you're wondering what this was, Deku did flick him in the forehead really hard, enough to make him feel that way, but the rest was just telekinesis. What Cell can do. And in case you're wondering, Cell has telekinesis. When he was making his tournament ring, he cut up the cubes, he was using telekinesis, my guy. So, yeah. Bakugou trying to pull a howitzer impact. Kaminari and Shoto are pretty much trying to do their tag team thing, which, before they even can start doing it, Deku's just like, come on, give me the biggest iceberg you got, Todoroki. He's saying he won't move from this spot, and after that, him, Kaminari, and Bakugou can just throw their strongest attack at him, and it still won't do anything. They accept the challenge. So, giant iceberg completely engulfing Izuku. As, Bakugou's coming in with his howitzer impact, and Todoroki's doing his flashpoint freeze fire. And Kaminari's doing his 5 million volt indiscriminate shockwave, which he was able to counter by just placing his hand on the ground and, just Todoroki jumping in the air when he launched his fire blast, because Bakugou was also in the air. So, all three hit, and before they even make contact, just a sudden explosion of raw aura happens as sparks of electricity are forming around Izuku. His, Super Saiyan-esque aura is just heavily around him. As he's just like, you done? Their eyes are wide. They are just terrified. They don't know what the fuck this is. And hold up. What is up? I am back, and I have to go do some errands, so I will be, finishing this up relatively soon now. Well, anyway, backtracking a little bit, the combo attack of the trio did absolutely dick. Nothing. Izuku just stands, aura flowing out of him. Purple and blue electricity just sparking around him. He's not necessarily pissed, he's just kind of annoyed that their strongest attack didn't really do much. It didn't even get close to him. He let them freeze him and everything. But the moment he just flicks his aura, their shit gets just flying back. But Deku realizes that they are just too weak, and he proceeds to, one-shot every last single one of them. He gives, Bakugou the elbow that ended Raccoon. He gives the combo rush of Piccolo v Goku in the World Martial Arts Tournament with just the meteor rush and just the exclusive beatdown to Todoroki. And Kaminari just, Deku not trying to be a dick to him, but Ki blast out of the field. And he wins. Deku now is crowned the Shiketsu champion of the UA Sports Festival compared to, everyone else. So yeah, Deku, and you're going to hear me turn on the car right now, so get ready. Anyway, Deku had won his half of the sports festival, leaving the females to fight against Melissa, and this is when all but class 1A and 1B drop out, and, they do want to fight Melissa. Which, for obvious purposes, she's just she's nervous. A lot of opponents, a lot of female quirk users are coming to fight her. But, what Deku does is, he whispers in her ear a little bit of motivational confidence, which her eyes widen. She looks at Izuku like she's blushing, and her body starts to squirm a little bit, as she's just asking something to Izuku. Class 1A can't hear this. Class 1B is kind of gawking at how she's reacting, but Izuku just nods with a smile on his face, which damn it, I'm not trying to do that, but no, which they're taking it as a sign that Deku just promised her something that might be the end of them. So I gotta do some errands, but I'm gonna end it here, and I'll come back to this. And sorry for the cliffhanger, but I got errands to do. I need to do some shit, guys. I'll be back maybe 2 to 3 hours. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoy. This is The Vibe Kage signing out.